Hi everyone. So I set out to create like a centralized repository of a ton of beach volleyball drills. Basically, I just want to have like a catalog where people from around the country or even around the world can contribute to and maybe like rate and stuff, so that like the best drills can sort of rise to the top, and we can all share our knowledge and sort of become better at beach volleyball as a community. What this like started out as was that I was learning a lot of drills, but I was constantly forgetting them. So I started putting them in this big Google Doc, and that works to an extent, especially when it was just me, because like I remembered what these drills were. But as you might imagine, like this is only text, so it breaks down really quickly. So like we can take for example rotational setting, and like you shouldn't read this whole thing, but as you can see, like it's completely intractable. Like it gets really confusing to understand in just text format. So the next logical step would be to find something that can do this in a graphical way. So I didn't want to build this myself, so I started looking for some third-party solutions, and I found this, which is called Sportplan. And when I found this, I was super excited because they already have like a volleyball section. They seem to be pretty well established. They have like 30 different sports or whatever, and just for volleyball, they have all these awesome features. There's tons of drills. You can share them, you can rate, you can add comments, etc., etc. And I was like, oh, this is great. I'm just gonna tell everybody to use this. But this is not a sport plan commercial, right? And the reason for that is that as soon as I started to try to create my own drills for beach volleyball, things started to break down. So from the get-go, they have this like animator thing that you can use for certain sports that allows you to create animated drills. They didn't have it for volleyball, so I searched through a bunch of the other sports, and I did find handball, which was the closest approximation based on like how their UI works and stuff. Um, so I started trying to create a handball drill for beach volleyball. And after hours of watching all these tutorial videos, a ton of trial and error, and even like talking with their support team, I came up with this. And as you can see, it's really unintuitive to look at a glance, like really difficult. It sort of does what I want, but it's extremely hard to make, really difficult to edit. And even now, like there are still bugs. Like you can see, like the white person right here, it takes a long time to get over there. The ball moves without them, et cetera, et cetera. So the major issue of this UI is that you can only edit it from the start, right? So I can edit things right now, like I can move the ball around and whatnot, but as soon as I move the slider a little bit, I can no longer edit things. So I just clicked and it like reset to the beginning. This is especially bad for volleyball. If you imagine a really simple drill, which would be three-person pepper, where every time you pass the ball, you have to go to the other side, there's a lot of arrows that are going back and forth and back and forth. And when you can only edit these arrows at the beginning of the drill, it becomes really hard to look at really fast. At this point, I became really interested because I think the programmers here fell into a common design pitfall, which is basically they tried to build a better horse. They were probably used to doing drills on a whiteboard, and when somebody asked them to make a drill book on the computer, they just took what they knew from that and put it onto a computer screen. So I figured I'd try over the weekend to see what I could come up with, and this is what it ended up as. It's a really janky, hacked up UI, so please don't judge me for it too hard. But I try to make it as simple as possible. So for example, let me put a couple people here, put a ball in, set the speed of the ball, and then you just drag it from here to here, and we'll say that that was a spike, drag it back, that was a bump, drag it back again, we'll say that that was a set. Then if you hit the play button, this guy will spike it, bump, set, and it resets. Spike, bump, set, so on and so forth. The nice thing about this UI that the Sport Plan one didn't have is that you can pause it and move this back and forth and do any sort of editing you want. You move this guy around and whatnot, even if it's in the middle of the play. You can also see what the ball is going to do in the future, so the ball is going to be bumped back there, or even in the past. So here's the rotational setting drill that I described a little bit earlier. It's a notoriously difficult drill to explain even when you're on the court, but I think that with this UI it makes it sort of clear. So it'll just go through one revolution of it and then it will reset. This only took me a few minutes to make as opposed to a long time trying to make this and not being able to come up with something that I think is as useful. So I think that there are a lot of ways that this could still be improved. But if this is something that you think would be useful, please let me know. If you have any comments or suggestions, I would really appreciate it. And thanks a lot for watching.